Welcome to the Astral Podcast, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of 2B2T. Today we have a good friend of ours and special guest, An1me, also known as 2B2T Community, joining us today.
Hey!
And on the podcast today also, we have myself, Joey Coconut, and my good friend and co-host, LordGalvatronMC.
Hey.
And so today we're going to be talking about An1me and all the stuff he's done on the server. So, this guy. We'll start from the beginning here. What brought you to 2B?
Well, for me, 2B just kind of seems like the end point of Minecraft. Like, you play so many mods, and you do so much single player, and you play other servers that have, like, rules and restrictions and stuff. And there's just nothing like Anarchy. And especially the community that you find in Anarchy, you don't find it anywhere else. It's so unique to 2B. I feel like when I first joined a few years ago, things were a lot more toxic, and people have, like, mellowed out a little bit more. It's nice.
Yeah, no. In some ways I agree. Some ways I don't. It's really nuanced, but it's been a wild ride.
It has its ups and downs.
For sure, yeah.
You know what they say? It's all uphill except for the downhill. So when people talk about you, it's impossible not to mention Obscension and Pitfight. What motivated you to establish Obscension and also start hosting Pitfight?
Well, after I joined 2B, I kind of spent just the first year just kind of building single player. It was kind of just single player with chat. And I feel like a lot of people do that on 2B, where you just go out in the middle of nowhere, you start building something, and slowly, kind of over a year, I started playing the server more and more frequently, started talking to people in chat, and I invited a good friend of, well, not good friend of mine at the time, but I invited a player, Freelease, out to my little base I had going, and he was so supportive and so kind of impressed with what I was doing out there. He was like, we gotta make this into a group, and I had no idea how to do that or what I was doing, and but he was so excited about it, and I was building this big obsidian tower at the time, this obsidian ascension, and so we kind of just smushed the two words together into Obscension, and that's how we got the group name. Then after that, we just started inviting more people out to that base, and slowly we became friends. And I was invited to help with a Mu Rev kind of spin-off of Fight Club. And the event didn't really go that well, but it was the first time I got to see, like, Crystal PvP, like, up close. And I was just, like, so impressed by the skill and the reflexes and the awareness and the configs and just the immense depth of Crystal PvP on the server, and just really wanted to give people an opportunity to showcase that, because I feel like to see Crystal PvP, you have to go to 0-0, and that's just a death sentence, basically. You go there, you get killed, you don't get to see much. So I really wanted to kind of put something together to showcase that. And of course, Ken with Fight Club was a huge inspiration for making a PvP event on 2B.
You know, I remember the Fight Club stuff. I didn't really go to many of them, but a lot of my friends at the time in 2020, that's how they all met each other. And there was a lot of friend groups like that only really come together because of community events like that. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see events pop up.
Events really are kind of like the lifeblood of the community. It's where, you get to meet new people and rub elbows with, people you might not meet otherwise, you might not talk to. And I think it's really good in, like, facilitating friendships and getting to know people.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess to pivot back to Obscension, though, the group's slogan, peace is the way. What exactly does that mean to you?
So I kind of feel that with things like Minecraft or video games in general, it's all about keeping it in the game. And unfortunately, through the history of 2B, I think you see a lot of people who will escalate things out of the game or resort to personal attacks. And I know I've been guilty of that in the past, and it's something that I try to learn and grow from. But Pieces the Way for me is just trying to take a different approach to 2B that's not as toxic. Trying to just, like whenever a base gets griefed or someone else is trying to be toxic or, do something like that, just kind of letting it roll off and say, it's a game. And just leave it all on the server.
Yeah.
I like to hope that everybody thinks that way. Unfortunately, it's not the case, but it's nice that people are talking about that sort of stuff.
I also think that it's just... I honestly feel that there are very, very few people I've come across that I could not get along with or kind of try and see their perspective. And so I feel like that's very important, is being able to try and see other people's perspective and take that into account. And, we're all just there to play some Minecraft at the end of the day.
It's nice, though, seeing a lot of people play it together, especially at your events. And I've been wondering, how does the community's involvement impacted all of these? Like, does it motivate you? Does it make it more difficult sometimes, maybe? Like, how does it make you feel about it all?
Yeah, so of course, people supporting the event is super motivating. But mostly I feel like it's just the people that I do it with. That's kind of what's kept it going for so long. Everything about Pitfight and the event is kind of compartmentalized. Of course, like I do a lot of the designing and a lot of building of the arenas. But like, say like I design a map for the Pitfight. I have a good buddy, Oppo, that I pass that design off to. He builds the map, he maps it out. Then I have another friend who gets those maps out on the highway. Another friend, Wangs, he sponsors the event, $200 every event. Shout out to Herbs and Sven, like all my boys that help build. And like, it's such a group project that like, it's just how we hang out, really. And so the first year of Pitfight, I feel like there was a lot of pressure to do it every month, because, well, that was a goal that I set out to do, was I wanted to do it every month. But after Pitfight 12, I think everyone still wanted it to be a monthly event, and it was kind of hard letting down people like that. But it's kind of gotten into a nice kind of seasonal flow where like every winter, spring, fall, summer we'll do one event, and like all the friends come back together and we build together, and it's just mostly about having a good time.
Man,
I hope that kind of answers your question.
Oh, absolutely, man. For sure. Actually, that answers my next one, too. I was going to ask about the logistics. Up to you again, Gal.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Pitfight, what'd you say some of your memorable experiences are been with doing that?
I mean, I can't forget. Technically, like, as it's recorded, it was Pitfight 2, because the Mew event that ended up turning into CPvP was kind of considered the first Pitfight. But the first Pitfight that I did all by myself with my group was Pitfight 2. And I built this like obsidian structure over a hole that we had made to bedrock. I hadn't thought of how we were going to be protected at all. Like, I was still super green. And of course, we're all standing on obsidian when people roll up to PvP, so we're all dying. And it was just such a learning experience. And that's why I feel that Pitfight 2 was so memorable, is I learned so much. Same after, I think it was Pitfight 5 was in the end. Pitfight 5 in the end, Frankenifcent. First of all, Frank designed a beautiful arena for Pitfight 5. It was absolutely crazy. We built it in the end because we've had Pitfight across all 3 dimensions by now. And it was just a crazy arena, and it was the first time that we realized, like, hey, we could use water to stop end crystals from going off. Because, like, we had tried using pressure plates or buttons or all kinds of different stuff. For Pitfight 3, we built it up at sky level. And it was just an obsidian platform up at sky level where everyone could stand. And that's whenever we learned that some PvPers have a bypass where they can still place crystals at sky level. So that was really fun. But yeah, Pitfight 5 was definitely significant because we learned that we could use water to stop the crystals, and that's why we started building all of the like spectator areas in water underneath the arenas. And we tried to make sure we also had an event where we learned that could be defeated with sponges. So we had to make sure that they're deep enough that sponges can't like get rid of the water blocks. And so, yeah, Pitfight 5 was a big learning experience. Pitfight 2. And then, of course, probably my favorite Pitfight was Pitfight 12. You know, we had 107 players show up during the couple of hours that took place. And it was such a big thing. It was the year event of Pitfight where we'd been doing it once every month. And it was just kind of like the culmination of everything we had been working towards.
I guess to pivot slightly to building in general, you've been in Astral here for a decent bit now, and been at bases like Solaris and Tayo, just off the top of my head. What were your inspiration for the builds you did there?
Let me go look at renders real quick so I can remember what I did.
I love your renders, man. You make some sweet renders.
Yeah.
2D Astrals. So Solaris was my huge castle, and I believe that at that time I had been playing a lot of Elden Ring, and so I wanted to make this like big kind of Elden Ring, Dark Soulsy kind of castle, and so I just like flattened the land. I took a map shot of it and then kind of drew up something in paint. And that's really how I designed that castle, was I just kind of sketched it out and built it. And it ended up, I think it's probably some of the best like medieval architecture I've ever done.
It was certainly a fun place to be. Like, one of my favorite times in Astral last year was playing hide and seek with all you guys there right after you finished that up, just to celebrate.
That was a ton of fun.
That was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was a ton of fun. I really love that base. And then, honestly, that's kind of like, all of the Astral bases are pretty fun, though. Yeah. Like, we have a pretty crazy time. And then Tayo. So yeah, Tayo was kind of like a base that I had started, and I had planned it all out, and it was, like, we had plans for a lot grander things. But of course it was inspired by like traditional like Japanese or like Oriental architecture. And so I had just built like a little, well, I guess I had built like the main wall and then the center square, and then I built a little house there. And whenever it was getting griefed, I was in the process of building like a Buddhist pagoda, just because I think the Buddhist pagodas are so pretty. And Riceland was working on that like Chinese dragon that was wrapped around the tower. Is really cool. I honestly wish we had we had the chance to complete that base. Like even just another 24 hours, we would have had it. It was kind of disappointing.
Still though, like you and Rice, like that week and a half, 2 weeks, you guys did just an insane amount of stuff there. It was really nice.
Oh yeah, I think it was also Surgical Donut. I think
how can I forget Surgical?
That was pretty good. And he built like a little shrine thing. And then you built your little like house walkway thing that was led to like the temple area.
I had a lot of fun with that. Like, I never really built in that style before. It was nice building next to you and Rice in that, like having it already figured out and like, okay, these are the blocks, this is the style, have at it.
Yeah.
I
really like how you planned it, for that matter.
I think that it's a style that maybe we should revisit at some point.
Hey, maybe.
Time like that again.
Now, this segues really well into the next question, actually, so that's convenient. How do you approach building?
Oh man, I just like place block and my brain makes the happy juice. Like I don't know. I feel like I'll get like the idea or the concept for something, and like the moment I can visualize it in my brain, I can make it happen in Minecraft somehow.
Start placing and make it happen.
Yeah, yeah, that's really all it is. It just starts with one block, and then you place another block, and pretty soon you've placed a lot of blocks, and you got something. um, but to kind of address, I guess, like the turbulent atmosphere of it, I really love it. I think when I first came to the server, the whole cycle of 2B was something I was kind of afraid of. That you spend so much time designing and building something, and you love it, and for some idiot to come along and just blow it up.
Yeah.
And I feel like for too long, my approach to 2B was kind of resentful about the cycle of constantly rebuilding or building new stuff. And once I was able to reach a point of just acceptance with it, it's something that I admire now, and it's something that I really enjoy about the server, that I'm always presented with opportunities to try something new, to do something else. I have, I've been on 2B long enough to be at bases that, maybe stuck around for a little too long, and nobody is there, and they're just dead bases. And, sometimes it's better to to have a base get griefed. You can tell everyone, hey, look at this shit that we built, and then you move on to something else.
Yeah. To piggyback off of something you just said, though, about just accepting the cycle of creation to destruction there, I think there's something very beautiful about that, right? So we're basically making art here, right? It takes a special kind of artist to recognize that, okay, I made my thing, it served its purpose. You enjoy doing it for the sake of doing it more than anything else. And I think that's the most pure kind of motivation, and I think that really speaks volumes about the stuff that you do.
Oh yeah, and I think that if anyone looks at the stuff that I do, it's definitely not like of the highest quality or super refined.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, it's obvious that like I take a lot of time and a lot of pride in the things that I do. My experience mostly in Minecraft before 2B was I would just like play creative. And so I was to a point where I was like, "Oh, I'm a good creative builder. I'm a really good builder." And then I come to 2B and I see the kind of things that people are doing on 2B, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh. I'm not a good builder anymore." And I think that there was a process of, instead of being intimidated by that, learning to learn from it. And that whenever I come across people who are better than me, I watch them, or I say, how did you do that? And I see it as a learning opportunity instead of like a threat to my ego.
I know exactly what you mean, dude. I was a really very bad builder for most of my time playing Minecraft, and I really only learned really what to do when I was alongside people like Vertrix or later on Crowbar. And you need to be around people that are good, and you need to not get all stuck up about it, like, oh, they're better than me or something. Like, you learn from the people around you, and that's how you get good at stuff. Because, like, everybody just has a little piece of the puzzle to give you. There's all these little lessons, and they accumulate, and I think you've put all of them together very nicely.
Thank you. Yeah, I try and, I think I realized at some point that way of thinking of being like, oh, they're better than me, it's just so destructive, and it's not conducive to becoming better. And and if you just sit in that mindset, you don't have no chance of ever being as good as them.
Yeah.
Life lessons, brother.
But I mean, talking about the creative process in general, like what is your creative process? Where do you draw inspiration from, like real life stuff, IRL stuff, other players' builds? What do you draw from mostly?
Well, I guess I've kind of drawn from all of those at one point or another. Sometimes it's just a Google search. Like I'll have an idea for something and I'll go on Google and, pull up some some art inspiration to kind of build off of. Sometimes like with Pitfight 12, what I did was I took a top-down view of the hunted map from Black Ops 3 and I imported that via like map art generator into Minecraft as just kind of like a 2D thing to build up off of. Just because I wanted to make sure it was like perfectly to scale to the map from Black Ops 3. Other times, literally, I've had builds that just like, they literally just come to me in a dream.
Dude, those are the fun ones.
And it's just like, well, okay, I'll wake up and it's like, I gotta like conceptualize this somehow. Or like definitely like seeing builders like Crowbar, or I have like builders that I like to follow on YouTube and watch them build. And I definitely can say like they've been inspirations to me and, trying to become better and learn new techniques and block palettes and how to do stuff. It really is just a combination of a lot of different things because I don't want to leave anything out of my process.
So, unfortunately, your main account was prio banned, and then the next one was prio banned too.
Yeah.
What happened
banned
there?
On 2 accounts. Honestly, I really have no idea. I've DM'd. I've emailed the admins a couple times about the prio bans, and they've never gotten back to me on them. And now my current account, the 2B2T community account, is chat muted. So yeah, I don't know like what it, and like it literally got chat muted like a week after getting the new account. And I genuinely have no idea why. The account isn't even registered to like, I guess like they could probably see my IP and know that it's me, but it's not registered to like an email that's even associated with me. And so like I emailed them from that email and was like, hey, could you unmute this account? They never respond. And I think it's sad that they have like, it's anarchy, but they prio ban and they chat mute and there's zero appeal process for it. Like, you look at something like Hypixel or like any other kind of like established Minecraft server, there is an appeal process because most moderation is done automatically through some kind of like bot or automated process that, it's a catch-all net, but everything that catches isn't necessarily bannable, and so there should be some kind of appeal process, and it's kind of, it's bullshit that there isn't.
Big shame. I really hope that stuff like that gets rectified, because, like, moderation is necessary. Stuff like what you have going on is just ridiculous. But so,
yeah,
with those accounts being banned, your main now is 2B2T Community. It's an interesting name here.
So I picked that the same time that I started the community server, and it was a lot of, it was a little bit of wishful thinking for sure. And I feel like the community Discord server I started, it still has like a bunch of good information on it for new players. But as of right now, I don't really have a good way to direct new players to it. And, like, I don't know. I just had this idea of bringing the community more together because you get so many different groups on the server that play at different times and they interact with different people that we can kind of get a little spread out. I think, like, for instance, whenever I found out about the Collective and how big of a group the Collective with and met Tosca and stuff, I was like, how have I never heard of you guys before? And you guys are such a large group. And So I don't know. I just think the community gets spread out. Sometimes we can get a little too divisive between ourselves. And I wanted to just kind of remind people that like it's a game and wanted to have just kind of like a normal like like any other game has a community Discord server you can go to like look for a group or find other people to play with. And that was kind of my vision for it. And it hasn't exactly panned out, but who knows? Maybe I'll return to it and revive it in some way. But that was how that name started.
It's a good idea, and like the problem you see there, I think is a very real one. Like, I remember, like I've been playing a while now, and years back, like we were all in our own groups, but you still knew most of the people that would be playing at every given point, even if they're in like. I was in a private base group, and I still knew a lot of
Yeah.
people, even though I wasn't in any of their groups. And you don't have that now. You have tons of people that are. It doesn't even take being like a hermit out in the mills. You're just in one group and you don't know the people in the other groups that you might not even know the name of, even if they're big. And it's a common problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sometimes hard to like if you want to interact with another group on Discord, sometimes it's hard to like track down group Discords or information, or like say you want to know like where an end portal is. I just wanted to have a place of kind of that information all collected into one place as a resource for people.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Really hope to see it pick up more. I mean, you can only do just so much on your end, but like, I agree with you completely.
Just because like it's crazy, it's so crazy that I'm saying this, but we've reached a point where like we should like grow the community a little bit, maybe get a little bit more hype on the server. Like things have really slowed down over the last year or so, and I hate to see it. And I feel like the best way to grow the player base right now is to get people to stick around, and the best way to get people to stick around is just help them out a little. And I know that's kind of maybe anti-traditional 2B ideas there of being hostile and trying to keep people off the server, but I think 2B is a great place, and I think more people should play 2B.
Yeah. Well, I guess to segue from that, you joined in 2020. How would you say the community is like, to go in depth of what you were commenting on earlier? How would you say it's changed just you joining?
Oh man, well, I mean, whenever I joined, Prio Q every day was well over like 200. So that right there is a huge difference now that like I can just jump on the server anytime I want with Prio Q and it's just instant connect. So definitely that's probably one of the bigger differences. But also I feel like there's as the kind of like Zoomers have been growing up and like becoming more mature, I feel like that's really had a change on the server where people aren't so loud and toxic. Like, of course you still see it. It's 2B, it's anarchy. You're gonna see toxicity, but I feel like it's mellowed out a lot more and people are more willing to work together, and you don't see a whole lot of kind of like the LARP factions, if that makes sense, anymore, of people being like, oh, well, I don't like you because I'm in this group and we don't like your group, and like I feel like a lot more people in groups are willing to kind of cross those boundaries and work with each other, and like I just feel like people are kind of nicer, I think.
I could definitely say the LARP's calmed down, having joined before you joined. 2018, you saw a lot of that. I hate you, I don't want you in my group kind of deal.
Yeah, it feels more like instead of all the drama and the LARP and the fit MC of it all, it's kind of just everyone's there just to play some block game,
So, this is a bit off topic here, but I think it's something we really need to talk about a little bit.
Oh no.
If one was to click onto the anime YouTube channel, there's
Okay.
a lot of interesting songs there. What's some of the inspirations for some of
Oh
these?
no. Oh no. Oh no. So I really like music, and I've always liked to like I play guitar and I sing, and I've been in a band and stuff. But like I've never unfortunately I've never put that like creativity to anything really good, I'd say. They're just kind of shit posts of songs. One was Dawn Fear is Dead. Shout out to fucking Deloaded. Love you, kind of. Anyway, there was just kind of a situation that happened, and Deloaded had yelled at some kids, and I kind of had a problem with that, and I was like, the best way to handle this is to make a shitpost diss track. Take it all the way back to fucking like 2019. And so I got this like terrible royalty free beat, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna make a diss track. And it's easily some of the dumbest shit I've ever done. And then after that, I was still on this just goofy ass mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna make a shit post song, and so then I made Hide Your Mom. You don't gotta hide your girl, but you better hide your mom. But yeah, I don't know. Probably some of the more stupid creative endeavors I've undertaken.
You were talking about, how it's changed since then, and then, need a new hype wave. What would you, if that were to occur, what would your advice be to new players trying to join the server?
I mean, honestly, like, I feel like it's the same advice I'd give anyone. Just kind of like do what you want and don't give a shit. Because like, everyone kind of finds their own niche on 2B. And as long as you're willing to make friends and you don't like be super toxic, there's always a place for you. And I feel like the only people that really struggle on 2B aren't even like, it could be your first day playing Minecraft. And I feel like as long as you have a genuine interest in 2B and you just can get along with people, you could do anything you fucking want.
Yeah.
It's really, I think, just the people who come to 2B and are like, yes, today I will go on 2B and spam the N-word. It's those people that are, they don't go anywhere. They don't do anything. They come on 2B, they act like, oh, I'm going to be the generic toxic 2B anarchy player, and such a minority of the community is like that now, where everyone's just like, yeah, no, we don't want to play with you, bro, so see ya. Yeah. And so those people, they never get a foothold. The best 2B advice I can give is make friends. You make some friends, you're good.
Yeah, so just one more thing to close it on up here, I suppose. And this is very important, but looking ahead, you got a lot of projects you've done in the past. You've got stuff you're working on. What can we expect from you for the future? Maybe the near future, for instance, here.
Well, we have an event coming up. The Pitfight Summer Event, which is going to be August 5th. It's a Saturday at 3 p.m. EST. Anyone is welcome to come spectate. If you want to participate, we do have an applications process, and you can check out gg.discord/pitfight for more information.
Definitely go out there, guys. All the cool folks are going out that way.
Everyone shows up to Pitfight.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's pretty cool. You might even see him. You go out there. Highly recommend it.
Oh, damn. You're pretty cool, Joey.
You rock, man. Anyways, thanks for coming on here today. Appreciate having you on the show here. This is our our first regular episode, I think this will be, because we have one that'll be releasing probably before this. We haven't dropped it yet, but as of recording this,
Okay.
we've just about finished editing. So, Congratulations on being number 2 and number 1 in a way. Really happy to have you here. I'm
Hell
Joe.
yeah, man.
I'm here with Galv, and thanks for coming here, Anime. It's been a pleasure.